The Discovery Captain Thrix adjusted his secondary appendages nervously as the salvage vessel Void Harvester dropped out of hyperspace. The Calarian had been running salvage operations for 40 cycles, but something about this sector made his scales itch. The coordinates had come from an old star chart, marking what ancient records called a hazard zone from some forgotten war. Perfect for salvage if you didn't mind a little risk. Captain, we're detecting massive debris fields, announced Navigator Yeln, her 4 eyes scanning multiple displays simultaneously. The Mindari's voice carried that particular tone of excitement that meant either profit or problems. Energy readings are unusual, very unusual. Thrix moved to the viewport, his muscular frame casting shadows across the bridge's dim lighting. Outside, against the backdrop of dying stars, floated what could only be described as a graveyard. Ships of unknown design tumbled slowly through space, their hulls scarred by weapons fire that must have occurred centuries ago. The scale was staggering, thousands upon thousands of vessels from small fighters to massive dreadnoughts, all bearing the same strange markings. By the Void, whispered Krem, their Vasari engineer. His tentacles writhed in what Thrix recognized as deep unease. Look at the configuration. These ships, they're all facing outward, like they were defending something. The observation sent a chill through Thrix's primary nervous system. Krem was right. The dead ships formed concentric rings, each layer positioned to provide overlapping fields of fire. Whatever battle had taken place here hadn't been a chaotic melee. It had been a last stand. Scan for survivors, Thrix ordered, though he knew the chances were negligible. These wrecks had been drifting for at least 300 standard cycles, maybe more. And identify those markings. I want to know who these ships belonged to. Yeln's fingers danced across her console, pulling data from the ship's extensive xenoarchaeological databases. The silence stretched as she worked, broken only by the hum of the ship's systems and the occasional ping of debris against their shields. Finally, she looked up, all 4 eyes wide with something between fear and amazement. Captain, the markings. They're human. The bridge fell silent. Every species in the Galactic Collective knew about humans. They were the cautionary tale told to young spawn. The ghost story whispered in the dark corners of space stations. A species that had appeared suddenly 2,000 cycles ago, expanded aggressively and then vanished just as quickly, leaving behind only ruins and warnings. Most believed they had destroyed themselves in some catastrophic civil war. Others thought they had ascended to a higher plane of existence. Nobody knew for certain, humans, Thrix repeated slowly. You're certain? The geometric patterns match their historical records perfectly. But Captain, there's something else. Yeln transferred her findings to the main screen. These ships aren't just human. Based on the hull compositions and design variations, they represent at least 15 different human factions. They were fighting together. Krem's tentacles stopped moving entirely. That's impossible. Historical records show humans could never unite. Their factional wars were legendary. They fought over resources, ideology, even the color of their flags. And yet here they are, Thrix murmured, studying the tactical positioning of the wrecks. United in death. The question is, what were they defending against? As if in answer to his question, the sensors began screaming warnings. Throughout the debris field, ancient systems were coming online. Lights flickered to life on supposedly dead ships. Defense platforms that had been dormant for centuries began to hum with barely contained energy. Captain, we need to leave. Now! Krem's voice cracked with panic. Those aren't just wrecks. They're still active. But Thrix found himself frozen, watching as holographic projections began appearing throughout the debris field. They showed a human figure, male, wearing a military uniform of dark blue with gold trim. The image was slightly degraded by time, flickering occasionally, but the human's expression was clear, determined, defiant, and somehow, even across the centuries and species divide, deeply sad, the human began to speak, and the ship's translators worked to decode the ancient Earth language. This is Admiral Marcus Chen, Supreme Commander of the United Earth Defense Fleet. If you are receiving this message, you have entered the memorial field of humanity's last stand. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances as the recording continued. You are not in danger unless you proceed further toward the core. This is both a warning and an invitation. We have prepared something for those who would come after us, but first you must understand what happened here. The hologram shifted, showing star charts and battle formations. 317 years ago, humanity detected an anomaly at the edge of our space. Something was coming, something that consumed entire star systems, leaving nothing but void in its wake. We called it the Devourer. Images flashed across the projection, showing worlds being literally consumed by writhing masses of darkness, stars being extinguished like candles, entire fleets being absorbed into nothingness. Thrix felt his scales stand on end. He had heard legends of things beyond the galactic rim, nightmares that even the oldest species feared to name. We tried to warn the Galactic Collective, Admiral Chen continued, his image reappearing. They didn't believe us, called us warmongers looking for an excuse to militarize, said our scanner technology was malfunctioning. By the time the Devourer reached our outer colonies, it was too late for politics. The projection showed human worlds mobilizing, factories converting to weapons production, civilian ships being retrofitted with armor and guns, men, women, and even children working together with a unity of purpose that seemed impossible for the fractious species. Every human faction, every colony, every ship we could muster was called here. To this point in space, we calculated that this was where we could make our stand, where the hyperspace lanes converged in such a way that the Devourer would have to pass through to reach the galactic core. Yeln gasped softly. Captain, he's right. This position, it's the perfect choke point for anything coming from beyond the rim. The Admiral's expression grew harder. We knew we couldn't win. The Devourer had consumed civilizations far older and more advanced than ours. But we could buy time. We could make it bleed, and most importantly, we could leave something behind. The hologram expanded, showing the entire debris field from a tactical view. Every ship you see here fought to the last breath. 7 million humans gave their lives in this spot. We held the Devourer for 18 days. We hurt it, wounded it badly enough that it retreated back beyond the rim. Our scientists believe it will need centuries to recover. Thrix found himself gripping the command chair. 7 million souls fighting something that consumed star systems. The scale of it was almost incomprehensible. But we knew it would return, Admiral Chen said. So we prepared this place, not just as a memorial but as a fortress, a trap. Every ship here, every defensive platform, has been equipped with automated systems and weapons specifically designed to fight the Devourer. When it returns, and it will return, this graveyard will come alive. The projection shifted to show technical schematics that made Krem whistle in appreciation. Captain, these weapons, I've never seen anything like them. Quantum destabilizers, void resonance cannons, something called a reality anchor. This is technology decades ahead of anything in the collective. Admiral Chen's image returned one final time. We failed to convince the galaxy of the threat. Maybe our deaths will succeed where our words failed. At the center of this field, we've left everything. Our complete database, our weapons technology, our research on the Devourer, and instructions on how to prepare for its return. But be warned, only those who come in peace may approach. Our guardians will know your intent. The hologram flickered and died, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Outside, the lights on the dead ships continued to pulse slowly, like heartbeats in the dark. The revelation. Thrix stood before his assembled crew in the Void Harvester's meeting room. The usual chatter that preceded such gatherings was absent, replaced by a heavy silence that had persisted since Admiral Chen's message ended 2 hours ago. Every face, regardless of species, showed the same expression of awe mixed with fear. I've made my decision, Thrix announced, his voice cutting through the quiet. We're going in. Krem's tentacles writhed in agitation. Captain, with respect, this is madness. We're salvagers, not explorers or military. If those human systems interpret us as threats, then we die, Thrix said simply. But if we don't investigate, if we don't retrieve what the humans left behind, then their sacrifice means nothing. And when this Devourer returns, the entire galaxy dies. Yeln pulled up her calculations on the room's display. Based on Admiral Chen's timeline, if the Devourer needed 3 centuries to recover, we have perhaps 50 standard cycles before it returns. The collective needs time to prepare, to unite, to build weapons capable of fighting this thing. Exactly, Thrix said. The humans died to give us this chance. I won't waste it because I'm afraid. The crew exchanged glances, and one by one they nodded their agreement. Fear was natural. Letting it control you was not. It was, Thrix reflected, perhaps the most important lesson humanity had left behind. As the Void Harvester slowly navigated deeper into the debris field, the dead ships around them began to respond. Lights tracked their movement. Ancient targeting systems locked on and then released as if judging their intent. It was deeply unnerving being evaluated by the dead. "Captain," Yeln called out, her voice tight with concentration, "I'm detecting something. There's a pattern to the wreckage placement. It's not just defensive positioning. It's mathematical. The ships form a sequence, a code of some kind." Krem's technical expertise kicked in as he analyzed the pattern. "By the void, you're right. It's coordinates, but not just spatial. There's a temporal component of frequency modulation. Captain, the humans turned their entire last stand into a navigation beacon. They're literally guiding us in." Following the pattern, they moved deeper into the field. The wrecks grew larger, more heavily damaged. These were the ships that had been at the heart of the battle, the ones that had faced the Devourer directly. Their hulls showed damage patterns unlike anything in the military databases, surfaces that looked melted and reformed, sections that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Whatever this Devourer was, it didn't fight with conventional weapons, Krem observed, scanning the damage. "This is reality distortion on a scale I can't even properly measure." At the center of the formation, they found it. A massive structure, clearly human in design but incorporating elements that seemed almost organic. It was part space station, part computer core, part something else entirely. As they approached, docking clamps extended automatically, pulling the Void Harvester in with surprising gentleness. "Welcome," a voice said over their communications system. Not a recording this time, but an actual presence. "I am Prometheus, the preservation repository of mankind's ethics, technology, history, and emergency united survival protocols. I have been waiting." "You're an AI," Thrix said, not quite a question. "I am what remains of humanity's collective knowledge and will," Prometheus replied. "Created in our final days to ensure our warning and weapons would survive. Please come aboard. There is much to show you and little time to waste." The interior of the structure was a marvel of preserved technology. Holographic displays showed the full history of humanity's last stand, from the first detection of the Devourer to the final moments of Admiral Chen's flagship. But more importantly, it showed what came after. "The Devourer is not unique," Prometheus explained as they walked through corridors lined with data cores. "It is one of many entities that exist beyond conventional spacetime. They feed on organized matter and energy, on life itself. Humanity's expansion into certain dimensional frequencies attracted its attention." "You're saying humanity caused this?" Yeln asked. "No, the Devourer would have come eventually. Humanity simply encountered it first. Our experiments with quantum travel created ripples it could follow." Prometheus led them into a vast chamber filled with weapon prototypes, but those same experiments also showed us how to fight it. The weapons were unlike anything in the known galaxy, devices that could lock portions of space-time, preventing the reality distortions the Devourer used, cannons that fired not energy or projectiles but conceptual nullification, erasing the very idea of something from existence, shields that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "The collective has always wondered why humans were so aggressive, so quick to fight," Prometheus continued. "The truth is, we could feel it. Some quirk of human neurology let us sense the things beyond the rim. We knew instinctively that something was coming. Our wars, our conflicts, they were practice, preparation for the real threat." Krem was examining one of the weapons with barely contained excitement. "This technology, it's not just advanced, it's conceptually different. It approaches physics from angles we've never considered." "Because you never needed to," Prometheus said. "The galaxy evolved in relative safety, protected by distance and ignorance. Humanity evolved knowing subconsciously that monsters were real. The AI led them to the structure's core where a massive data repository waited. Everything is here. Weapon designs, defensive strategies, the complete analysis of the Devourer's nature and weaknesses. But there's a condition." Thrix had been expecting this. "What condition?" "Unity," Prometheus said simply. "These weapons are too powerful for any single species or faction. They must be shared freely among all members of the collective. Humanity died because we couldn't convince others of the threat. Don't repeat our mistake." On the walls, images of the 7 million humans who had died appeared. Every face, every name, every story. They had been soldiers and scientists, engineers and artists, parents and children. They had put aside every difference, every old hatred. to stand together against annihilation. We have 43 cycles by my calculation. Prometheus continued. The Devourer's energy signature has been growing stronger beyond the rim. It will return, and this time it won't underestimate the galaxy's defenders. Why didn't you contact the collective directly? Yeln asked. Because they needed to find us, to choose to come here despite the warnings and dangers. Those who seek voluntarily are more likely to believe and act than those who are simply told. Prometheus turned to Thrix. Your ship's communication array can reach the entire collective from here. The human fleet's quantum transmitters will boost your signal. What you do with this knowledge is your choice. Thrix looked at his crew, seeing his own determination reflected in their faces. The humans had given everything to create this moment, this chance. The weight of 7 million souls and the fate of the galaxy rested on what happened next. Open the channel, he ordered. Full spectrum broadcast to the entire collective. As the connection established, Thrix thought about what to say. How do you convince 100 different species to put aside their differences and unite against a threat they can't see? How do you honor the sacrifice of a species everyone thought had destroyed itself? This is Captain Thrix of the salvage vessel Void Harvester, he began. I am transmitting from the site of humanity's last stand. What I am about to share will change everything you believe about humans, about our galaxy, and about our future. 7 million humans died here to give us a warning and the tools to survive what's coming. The least we can do is listen. He paused, looking at the images of human faces surrounding him. The graveyard of humanity is not a monument to their failure. It's a fortress they built with their lives, a trap they set with their deaths, and a gift they left with their technology. The Devourer is real, it's coming, and we have 43 cycles to prepare. The humans couldn't unite until it was too late. We can do better. We must do better. Because if we don't, there won't be anyone left to remember any of us. As responses began flooding in from across the galaxy, from species who had dismissed humans as primitive warmongers, Prometheus displayed one final message from Admiral Chen, recorded moments before his death. We are humanity. We lived, we fought, we died. But our death is not our end. It is our greatest weapon. From our graveyard we guard the galaxy still. Remember us not for our wars, but for our final unity. Remember us not for our failure, but for our sacrifice. And when the darkness comes again, remember that even death can be a fortress, if you're human enough to make it one. The lights throughout the debris field pulsed once, brilliantly, as if 7 million souls were acknowledging their message had finally been received. The graveyard of humanity stood ready, waiting to rise when the galaxy needed it most.